good, everybody? What's good? What's good, hip hop? Welcome to another edition of the Diggy A2 podcast. I'm still your host, Robb D, aka Robb DIggie, BKA the real Robb DIggie on IG. Glad to have you guys with us on board this next session on the new Millennium. The next stop is taking us back to Brooklyn, New York, where we meet Fabolous. Oh man, John Jackson is a true talent, a true technical master, and he is Brooklyn Bred. That's the reason why this episode is called that. So first off, before I even get jumping into the episode, I want to give a quick shout out to my barber, Frank, my man, like always schooling me with knowledge and just talking about some things. So I want to give my man Frank a shout out real quick. I've always take care of brother, making sure brother look fresh with the clean with the waves and everything. So man, shout out to you, Frank. I told you I was gonna shout you out, man. So my dude right there, my ace. And then I want to introduce to you all, to the audience, a new member of the team. A new voice that is sharing his opinion with us during this season. He decided to pick Fabolous because he's from Brooklyn, New York, and I want to give him a royal introduction. His name is Shah Cypha. And Shah Cypha, actually, from talking to him a little while ago, he does a lot. I can't even pinpoint all the things that he does. He does radio. He does things for independent artists. He does things for himself. So what I would like to call him is kind of like a buffet of hip hop. That's probably the best way I'm going to coin the phrase of what Shah does. He does a little bit of a lot. And I am so glad and happy to have him on board. If you guys don't remember, he actually interviewed Jess, the Queen, a couple of weeks ago on his podcast or his radio show. So I definitely want to show love to him and have him on board with us to talk about Fabolous. And without further ado, I want you guys to meet him. So let me bring him on in here real quick. And Shah, the homie, was good. Introduce yourself to the audience, man. And what's popping, brother? What's good?
What's good? What's good? It's B to G, Shah Cypha. Originally from Brooklyn, like my man said, one half of the Ground Report. So shout out to my business partner, Tampa Mystic. That's the Ground Report Media Group, LLC. We support independent and non-signed artists, but no more than that, we just transitioned about a couple months ago to entertainment and entrepreneurs. So we just don't want to put ourselves in the box. We want to make sure that we support everybody out there grinding. That's why we call ourselves the Ground Report, the Underground Movers podcast, which he explained. I got a chance to interview Jessica. So shout out to everybody out there grinding. Salute. I appreciate being on here.
Man, we are happy to have you aboard, brother. And on top of that, Shah's being humble right now, but Shah does a Freestyle Wednesdays every week. Yeah. So I'm definitely gonna have that plug. If you guys follow me on IG, I post his freestyles every Wednesday. He'll send it to me, say, "Hey Rob, what do you think?" And it's always gonna be fire. So if you guys are true hip hop fans, make sure you check out Shah Cypha's Freestyle Wednesdays every week. He's dropping for us, keeping the culture alive with the freestyles. The freestyles are dope as hell. I'm not shooting smoke up Shah's ass, but they dope as hell. You know what I mean? He'll do a throwback beat. He'll jump on it. The last one he did was Jay-Z's, Death to the Auto Tune. That was dope, man. So I think I listened to a couple of those before that. I was like, yo, this brother's got something here, man. So mad love to you, Shah. And man, let's get into the discussion about Fabolous. As I mentioned, government name John Jackson. He does have one ASCAP award for songwriting. He has one award from the BET Hip Hop Awards. And we're going to talk about Fabolous in the 2000s. And he dropped 5 albums within the 2000s. I'm going to talk about some of the significance off those albums when they were dropped, some of the singles that I picked off the albums as well. So first one up is Ghetto Fabolous. And if you all didn't know, Ghetto Fabolous was actually dropped on 9/11. So it's one of the other albums that dropped on 9/11, one-time platinum album. You all know the hits: Keep It Gangsta, Youngin', Trade It All, Can't Deny It with him and the OG Nate Dogg. Rest in peace to Nate Dogg, and Ma Be Easy. Those are some of the songs I picked off of there. And that was released on September 11th. 2 years later, he dropped Street Dreams, which also another platinum album, released in March of 2003, which has I Can't Let Go with Mike Shorey and Lil Mo. This Is My Party. I'm So Into You with the Ashanti version and the Tamia version. Both of them are dope as hell, so it don't matter which one you listen to, they're both dope. He had a song called My Life, which was produced by Kanye West. Keeping a Gangster remix with Styles P, Jada, MOP, Paul Kane, which is a phenomenal, dope ass remix. Like, I went back and listened to that today, Shot. I was like, yo, like, damn. Like, they did that thing on that remix, man. That was crazy. MOP just brings the energy on that remix. So y'all go back and check that out.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Mashed Out Posse for real. And then they had Traded Law Part 2 with Diddy and Jagged Edge, which was another solo hit for Fab. And then in November of 2004, he released Real Talk, which is when he kind of had the shift going into more of the R&B flavor a little bit. That was a gold album. He had Gangsta with DJ Khaled. He had Tit for Tat, Baby, Breathe. Everybody knows Breathe, but from Just Blaze. Young and Sexy, which is another good one. And then released in June 07 was Nothing to Something, which is Make Me Better, which is with him and Neo, another popular song of his. Baby Don't Go, which was produced by Jermaine Dupri, featuring T-Pain and Diamonds, and also Brooklyn featuring Jay-Z and Uncle Murda. And then, of course, is my favorite Fabolous album was Loso's Way, which was released in July of 2009. Another gold album, which had the songs Triple E, and I should say Triple E because it's everything, every day, everywhere. Also featuring Carrie Hilson. Throw It in the Bag, which had trying to think of that young brother's name. Damn,
that was
I forgot who wrote that with him. I can't think of the brother's name off the top of my head, man. Well, anyway,
it's on the tip of my tongue. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, it's gonna come back to me here in a little bit. When the money
Radio Killer, yeah, him.
Yeah, man. Like, it's all good, Shah. It's gonna come back.
We'll figure it out.
Also on the album is The Money Goes, Honey Stays featuring Jay-Z, and also Stay featuring Marsha and Brocious. So that is the premise for our discussion this afternoon. Once again, Shah Cypha, thank you for spending time out of your busy schedule, brother, to hang out with us and our audience, sharing your hip-hop knowledge. And the first question that I have for you, my good sir, is what does Fabolous mean to the culture of hip-hop in your interpretation?
Versatility, the coach, one of the things about the culture of hip hop is that, people expect you to have versatility. I think Fab was very his although you might have known him depending on what time frame you got a chance to, to get in tune with him for a certain type of music. But if you notice that he was versatile, you pretty much can jump on and do anything. And it still be Fab. What I mean? He's one of the, you never saw him as being anybody else but himself. So that's what the culture, that's what he brought to the culture, showing that you can do that no matter where you from, Yeah,
I think that's fact, man. What I would say to that too is I don't remember like thinking of Fab like emulating anybody. Like Fab kind of created his own lane in a sense, which is kind of strange. Like nowadays you kind of see like MCs emulating each other, but Fab, he's Fab. Like I think he's one of one. Actually, I don't see anyone like trying to emulate him or him trying to emulate anybody else. He did it his way, and he is another punchline king, which I think is very prominent for MCs out of Brooklyn. And just knowing how to rhyme, how to put words together. He's a wordsmith for sure. I'm a huge fan of Fab, and what I want to also talk about Shah is how he's able to pivot. So when I think about pivoting in hip hop, especially when you talk about, when the first album came out, he was really punchline heavy. He kind of made street music in a sense, and then as he got further along in his career, he's like, and during that time frame, we're thinking about the early 2000s. When Ja Rule was hot. A lot of marriages of R&B and hip hop are coming out. So Fabolous kind of went down that road as well too. So how well do you think that Fabolous did in that conjunction with mixing R&B and hip hop from your interpretation?
Well, at the time when Ghetto Fabolous came out, he took a big risk. You know what I mean? What I mean by that, we didn't know that 9/11 was going to happen, but that's the same day Blueprint dropped.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Facts,
Jay-Z dropped Blueprint the same time. So he knew that at the time, but he had a fan base that still felt his music. So he did well with that. So I would say that, he was able to mix all that in there, and then he had DJ Clue to kind of pioneer a lot of what he was doing. So he had the marketing behind it. He had the look of the style at that particular time. He had the lyrics, you know what I'm saying? He had the lyrics. And he had the dance, he had the clubs. Yeah. You know what I mean? Jay-Z was already solidified, right? So, he was coming out, he had the club, so he had the vibe, and you couldn't tell Fab nothing with the style that he has. So I think he believing in himself and showing proof with the music that he was putting. It only meshed together and come out well. He delivered it well. You know,
I believe so too, man. I have nothing but positive things to say about Fab. I completely agree, man. And when I think about Fab, I think about his versatility. To your point, like he's able to me, he could get on any kind of track and create his own way. Like he made like Baby.
Right.
Like one of my favorite songs is Baby, which is like a sample from Michael Jackson. You know what I'm saying? Like that flip. Like damn, but who would have thought of that? Like okay, that was dope. And then he came a couple years later with Everything, Everywhere, Everything. With Carrie Hilson, a song like that, and then he had Breed, and he had so many different hits. I was like, yo, Fab is like, he's killing it, man. And shout out to Fab, Desert Storm, DJ Clue, and everybody that put Fab on. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to them, man, for finding Fab and putting them on for sure. Because I definitely don't want to forget about that. Because without that movement, Fab wouldn't be where he is in his position. But I just love his music, man. I love his versatility. And when I think of Fab, Shah, I think of bars, man. So what are some of your favorite bars that you think about when it comes to Fabolous? Like, what are some of the lyrics that you'd be like, oh, dang, like, I remember where I was at when I heard him say this, or what are some of the lyrics, or some of the songs, not necessarily the lyrics, because I don't want to put you on the spot by maybe fumbling over some of the lyrics, you know what I mean? But what are some of the songs that really hit you like, yo, those are some standout tracks from Fab?
Man, I mean, those are all over the place. You know what I mean? Like the hits that he did with Trey Songz, or the songs that he did with Jay, or the albums that, you know, I can't really pinpoint the lyrics, because I can tell you that Fab always delivered, like in Breed. You know what I mean? He said he just the way the chorus did, you know, 1 into the 2, 2 to the 3, 3 to, you know what I mean? I felt like, you know, I was preparing for a fight. You know what I mean? Like I was preparing for a fight. Or you know, the album he did with Jadakiss, you know what I mean? So I think he delivered on every single one of his songs, that I really can't really pinpoint a specific one. I just know that anytime a Fab verse came on, I stopped to listen to it. Right? Like I was never disappointed in anything that he said. You know what I mean? But yeah, you know, Fab was always somebody that, you know, that delivered all the time. But you know what I mean? It didn't matter who he was on a song with, or what type of song it was, he delivered. So
and that brings me to my point. So one of my favorite Fab verses is actually from Lumi D's remix of Uh-Oh. So he was on there with him, Lumi D, and Busta Rhymes. And I remember him talking about the baseball jacket with the leather on the sleeves. I was like, yo, he was so slick with it. You know what I mean? Like, he was so slick. And like, to your point, man, like he was very clever. He was witty, and he still is. I'm talking about him in past tense, because we're talking about the time era that we're speaking of, but it still is in the present tense as well too. He's just, you know, hip hop changes and shifts, you know what I'm saying? So what he was doing in the 2000s, that formula, you know, not necessarily could be the formula now in hip hop, just because, you know, the times change and things like that. But what I would say is, man, one of the things that I remember about Fab is Loso's Way. And I want to talk about Loso's Way for a second, Shah, because Loso's Way is one of those concept albums. One of the things we saw resonate in hip hop in the 2000s were concept albums. To me, the greatest concept album of all time is Jay-Z's American Gangsta. But I think right behind it, maybe second or third, is going to be Loso's Way, which is, if everybody has ever seen the movie Carlito's Way, he's trying to make like a cinematic kind of movie, like I don't know how to frame it, Shah, like a cinematic kind of like movie on an actual album, trying to like show you like a movie. And he actually made like a couple of movies, like a 30-minute movie actually to the actual album itself. If you guys want to go back and check, I don't know where you're going to find it at. I think it's on VHS somewhere, or DVDs back in the day in your closet somewhere. You might still have that. But I want to talk about that specific concept album, or the concept of the concept album. So when that was kind of resonating later on in the 2000s, Jay-Z massively did it on American Gangsta, and then we had Loso's Way. So Shah, what do you remember off of Loso's Way, man? Like him putting together a concept album, you know, putting that together.
I think the consistency of every track. You know what I'm saying? Like the consistency of every track that he, that he laid down with it. Kind of like what Jay did with American Gangster. You kind of felt the storyline.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Fab could tell, Fab could tell stories, and he can make you see what he was trying to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you felt like he put his, like he said, he put his flavor to it. That's what I got off of, Loso's way. And he was, you know what I mean? The focus and the determination was there, and he stayed with the times. I think he's good with transitioning. You know what I mean? Like I think he's good at transitioning and still being Fab. Like I can't think of anything Fab did that anybody else did. You know what I mean? Or even if he did, he remixed it in a way where you wouldn't even notice it came from somebody else. You know what I mean? That's just how I feel about it.
Yeah, man, I think it's dope, man. Like, just to piggyback off what you just said, he's so original, and that's what, to me, right now, Shah, and I hate to get on my horse about this, man, but that is what's missing or lacking in hip hop is originality, man. We're so tired of hearing the same thing regurgitated to something else. Like, come on, man. Like hip hop, we got to get original. We got to get back to originality, and lyrics and punchlines and getting back to the essence of what it is. And the reason why I'm going to bring that up, Shah, is because Fab did a collaboration, I think a few years in the 2000s with Jadakiss. Anytime you can do a collaboration and go toe to toe with Jada, like, your skills got to be top tier, because Jada is not anybody. Jada can be on anybody's top 5 dead or alive. That's how fly he is with his lyrics, and for Fab to be able to go bar for bar or be able to spar with him, like, come on, man. Like, your skills got to be top tier to even be in a conversation with Jada, you know what I mean? So I won't even get into that, you know what I mean? That's a whole conversation we can have down the road, you know what I mean? But the last thing I'm going to ask you, Shah, is 2 questions. So my first question is, you are sitting in your car right now. So if you wanted to put on a Fab track, which one would you put on right now that you would vibe out to right now sitting in your car?
See, when I started rapping myself, a lot of the songs that I started with was a lot of the lady stuff, right? So with Fab, those were the songs I would play first, because I would try to get a vibe on how I should do my songs. So the first one would be the one with Tamia.
Okay. Into You. Okay. Yeah.
So Into You. Then I would switch to Breathe. Yeah. Right. Then I would switch to I would go back and forth into then I would jump to some of his features. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I would do the one actually before I do that, I would go to the one he did with Neo. Okay. I don't ever remember the names. Yeah, but that I only remember that track because that I even better. Yeah, I would do that one because I remember that beat was supposed to be for Jay-Z, and Jay-Z said, nah, Fab need to, Fab, that's a Fab track. And then I will go to Summertime Shootout, the last one. Because that one, that one resonated with me more than the other ones, the first, you know what I mean? So the first and the second. So that third one resonated with me real tough. Especially when you're talking about the relationship with his wife and his family and shit like that. So right. That's what I would do in my car. I used to actually play that one on repeat because I used to have to drive pretty far to locations I was going, and I would have those that on replay. So yeah, I had Fab all over the place. You know what I mean? Like especially Friday Night on Elm Street with Jada. Like
word man.
Right? Word, man. So facts. I would play Principles, I would play Ground Up, I would play, you know what I mean? The intro to that joint was dope. Yes, you know brother. What I mean? So yes,
preach, brother. Preach. Like you talk to the gospel, my dude. Like, and then the last question I have for you, Shah, before we start closing things out is, I don't know if a lot of people remember Fab in the 2000s, but this brother was a mixtape king. Mixtape king. Like, this brother had mixtapes all over the place. So my question, Shah, is how important is it to artists? Well, maybe not so much nowadays, but how important is an artist to get buzzed with mixtapes? And now, mind you, Fab was dropping mixtapes when he was already solidified. He was already a star in hip hop, but was still dropping mixtapes every now and again. So how important is the mixtape game in hip hop then versus where hip hop is now?
The mixtape game was vital then, right? You had to be on the mixtape with the best DJs ever. And we're talking about DJ Green Lantern. Word. We're talking about DJ Clue. We're talking about DJ Drama, Gangsta Grills. He dropped mixtapes back to back. Not only did he drop mixtapes, he dropped part 2s, part 3s to those mixtapes. Yeah, right? You know, the Young OG is not a mixtape, it was an album. When he did like part 1 and part 2, like we would always expect, like, okay, is this one going to be better than the last one? Every time he dropped a hotter version of it. Kind of like the Summertime Shootout situation. You know what I mean? So it was very important then, right? Like if you wasn't on a mixtape, nobody knew who you was. You know what I mean? Like now, mixtapes is cool, but they're not as prevalent as it is now, because back then there was no Spotify's, there was no Apple, there was no streaming services. You had to go to Dat Piff, you had to go to My Mixtapes, you had to go to Spinrilla, you had to go to Live Mixtapes to get those, where those artists would officially drop their project on those individual mixtape platforms, coast to coast mixtapes. You know what I mean? So and they would promote their project saying, yo, it's dropping right here, and people would go directly to it. Now the artist would, you know what I mean, you can go directly to that artist and get the mixtape, like what Papoose is doing with his every monthly joint. Right? He'll sell it all himself, and then he'll put it on those platforms. You know what I mean? So now it's like, okay, I can drop it. I'm gonna drop it here on this platform, or it can be a mixtape, and I'm gonna put it on Spotify and drop it there. You know what I mean? So it was you know, it's not, you know, it's still, it's important to really have your own project now with some of the DJs that might host it, versus being on that DJ's mixtape where they got a bunch of artists on it. You know what I mean? Back then, you know, you had to be on their mixtape. Now it was okay, I got a mixtape and DJ Drama's hosting it. You know what I mean? And it's dropping on this platform. So it's just changed. It's evolved. You know what I mean? But I think right now it's more of an EP game than a mixtape game.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say. I think now it's more of, you know, artists dropping, you know, a couple singles on the EP, then drop it, as opposed to the mixtape itself. But I would tell you all, and those of you that are from that era, from the 2000s era, knows that everybody had a mixtape in some way, shape, or form. I had a whole bunch of them in my car. I had Lil Wayne's mixtape, Lil Wayne's another mixtape king, which we'll get to him in a couple of weeks. But yeah, like Fab had mixtapes all over the place, and I always thought it was like a marketing tool for you to get on, but he was already on. Like he was already on and just dropping mixtapes and music. And that was just shows to me his work ethic. You know what I mean? He's still writing, producing, still being relevant, and still dropping dope albums all at the same time. Ladies and gentlemen, he dropped 5 albums in the time period of the 2000s. 5 albums, and they all went gold or platinum. And to going to Shah's point, when he dropped his first album, it was released on 9/11, and that's the same day that Jay-Z dropped the classic Blueprint, and it still went platinum. Like, I mean, come on, man. Come on now. What are we doing? What are we talking about here, man? Like this Fab is Fab, man. That's why we had to have an episode during this time period of hip hop about Fab, because you can't talk about the 2000s without mentioning Fab. So I salute Fab, his movement, and everything he did in hip hop and is continuing to do. And we wish that brother nothing but love and success. But we're gonna start closing things out. Shah, thank you for your vision. Sharing with everybody your thoughts on Fab. How we have been closing things out on every show this season is doing a short salute and shout out to the life and memory of Breonna Taylor. So if you could join me, Shah, with your right arm in the air, if you could see me one time. And I'm going to say the champ, Justice 4. You're going to say Breonna Taylor. We'll do that 3 times to make sure that her memory is never lost. So Justice 4.
Breonna Taylor.
Justice 4.
Breonna Taylor.
Justice 4.
Breonna Taylor.
Breonna Taylor. We love you, mama. We miss you.
Yeah.
Much love to you. Keep watching over us, and much love to her and all of the others that we have lost due to social injustice. On this platform, it will never die. I'm telling you all right now. We're always going to make sure we talk about that and respect to the ones that paved the way. So without further ado, Shah Cypha's first trip to the Diggy A2 platform, brother. It's been a great afternoon, man. Hope it sets the tone for the rest of your week. And it's a shout out time, brother. Who are your shout outs going to this week, man?
Shout out to all my family, you know, my wife and my kids. Shout out to my business partner, Tampa Mystic. You know what I mean? Thank God, of course, that should be first for allowing me to wake up and do this on a daily basis. Every day I wake up is an opportunity to get it, to go out there and get it. Just shout out to everybody supporting the Grind Report, supporting Underground Movers, Industry's Most Wanted, all our brands. Make sure y'all check out that Freestyle Wednesdays that I do. I did 9 of them so far. They on my IGTV at Shah Cypha. And I'll be dropping number 10 on Wednesday. And now we gonna consider that season 1. And then we're gonna go back and listen to some more beats and figure out what season 2 is gonna be, how I'm gonna pay homage. But yeah, shout out to everybody. You know, shout out to this platform. Shout out to Jessica. Shout out to you, my G.
Thank you, brother.
And you know, let's keep connecting with those platforms that are authentic to what they're doing. Because I think together we can take things to all kinds of different levels, make money together, and really put people in positions that they didn't think they can be in. You know what I mean? So
word, man.
All that
I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you. And my shout out to short. First off, shout out going to you, Shah. I shouted you out a couple of weeks ago. You probably didn't see that though, but it's all good. It's all love. I shouted you out for you interviewing Jessica, and you know, always homage to the Queen. Queen Jess, I can't do anything without her or her backing, her support. So I love you, babe. Thank you for everything that you're doing for us and will continue to do for us and this platform. Shout out to Shah Cypha. And yes, you guys tune in, man. If you got IG right now, you can see the IG description on the video. You see his name. Connect with this brother. Follow this brother. He's dropping Freestyle Wednesdays every week, man. So I told him backstage that he should drop. By the time you all see this on Tuesday, hopefully, I'm trying to talk him into doing a Fabulous beat for Wednesday, man. Yeah. So we'll see how that works out. See if I was able to convince him to do that. But shout out to Shah Cypha, his movement, the Grind Report, everything he's doing with hip hop, keeping the culture alive, man. So you connect with this brother, especially if you're an independent artist, you know, trying to get on. He has a radio show, and he does a lot of things, you guys. So connect with his brother, and I'm so glad to be within his circle as well. So thank you again, man. Shout out to God, of course. Without everything, we can't do anything without him. Shout out to my family, my kids, my grandkids. I love all you guys. We do all this for you all, to leave a legacy behind for you. And that's all I got this week, you guys. And we're going to end this off here. And next week, we're going to go to the Midwest and talk about one of my favorite MCs, and that is Common. And I got a special guest coming up next week. So you all might want to tune in for this one. I got an OG coming through next week, man. So y'all stay safe, stay humble. And as always, keep it 100 and keep it hip hop. All right, 100, man. Peace.